Child's Play is a film that came out in 1988. Yeah, the year I was born. You know, 1988 seemed like a great year for movies. This film was directed by Tom Holland, and you see at the beginning this criminal, Charles Lee Ray, played by Brad Dourif. He's getting chased by this cop, Chris Sarandon. They're having this big shootout. Brad Dourif gets shot, so he goes into this toy store looking to get away until he gets shot again. So now he's like, fuck, I'm dying. He, last minute resort, he grabs this toy doll, says this voodoo magic stuff, but it looks like he died. Then you see this mother, played by Catherine Hicks, who just wants to get her son Andy a nice birthday present, but she just doesn't have the money to get him the good boy doll that he wants. So she sees this street handler, she gets the doll from him, gives it to her son, and everything seems like it's going to be okay until the doll starts killing people. What can I say about Child's Play? I really enjoy this film. It's definitely a classic as far as horror movies go. And it's funny to look back on Child's Play because when you think of Chucky, the character Chucky, when most people talk about Chucky, it's almost a joke. No one really thinks he's scary, everyone, because you're thinking about the later movies that have come out that are mostly comedy. But if you go back and watch the original film, this movie is pretty fucking creepy. First of all, seeing Brad Dourif at the beginning as Charles Lee Ray, that was interesting because it's the only time that we see Brad Dourif physically playing this character. And then when he gets killed off at the beginning, like, even though you don't really understand what's going on when he's saying the voodoo with the doll, it's still creepy. And then Catherine Hicks as the mom. I like Catherine Hicks. She's a good actress. It's refreshing to see good actors in a horror film. And I buy her as just a loving mom that cares about her son, wants to do things right for her son.
Miss Peterson's dead, Miss Barkley. She fell from the kitchen window.
And speaking of the son, this kid, Alex Vincent, who plays Andy. This kid's probably one of the better child actors that I've seen. I really like him as his character. He really seems like an innocent kid, and you just can't really think that he would be killing people. Because, too, I like how the cops at the beginning think that maybe Andy's doing these murders because, like, the doll's footprints are everywhere. And then the scenes where you see Andy actually like skip school because the doll's whispering on like where to take him, and then you see Chucky going around and killing people, getting revenge for the people that he thinks fucked him over before he died. Like, maybe this whole premise and plot sounds silly if you haven't seen the film, but when you see Chucky up and moving around with a knife, or you hear Brad Dourif's voice saying all these dirty and evil things as this doll, it really is creepy. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some funny scenes, or it is funny in some ways to see the doll up and running around and doing all this stuff. But come on, what can you expect? It's a doll killing people. Of course there's going to be silly moments, but overall I love how this film, like, the tone is still pretty much serious, and it's still dark.
Came alive in my hand.
Oh, for God's sake.
Why won't you believe?
Because I'm sane. This is Barkley, sane and rational.
And how could I forget Chris Sarandon as Mike, the cop who's following this case. I like Chris Sarandon as an actor. It's really cool to see him in here. Obviously, I know him most from Fright Night, but seeing him in here, I like how at the beginning he's not buying any of this, because logically, yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then when Chucky actually attacks him himself, he has no choice. And the ways that this doll kills people, it's pretty intense. Like, there comes a point where they think the kid Andy is so crazy that they actually take him away from the mom. That's kind of sad. And then you see the kid in there, and Chucky goes after him because you find out that Chucky is able to get out of the body if he puts his soul into the first human that he made contact with, which I know sounds weird, but the one scene when you see Andy literally break down and cry because he's so afraid of Chucky going after him, that's where I bought it. That's where I bought the danger, and that's where I bought this kid. But like I was saying, Chucky kills the doctor by putting this electric shock collar on his head and just shocks him to death. Like literally his eyes and mouth just starts bleeding. And then the end of the movie when they're literally trying to do anything to stop this fucking doll, but it won't stop. It keeps coming, even when they set it on fire, and he's still coming after them all black and charred looking. It's creepy. I don't know exactly how they made these effects to have this doll up and walking around and moving around. But Child's Play, I really enjoy this film. This film's a classic. I've seen this film so many times growing up. It's a creepy story, it has good acting, and it has characters that I actually give a shit about. I love that a mom is the main character. You hardly ever see that in a horror film. So, Child's Play, a classic. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Child's Play. As always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Later!